In January this year, we visited McIntosh Orchard, located near Alexandra. The business won 4 category awards, as well as the Supreme Award for Otago in the 2014 Ballance Farm Environmental Awards. Wayne McIntosh is the 4th generation manager for the family on their 64-hectare summer fruit orchard.
The family first came into the area as gold miners around the 1860s. From that success, they were able to buy part of the Ernstcleugh station that was sold off around the 1880s, and we as a family got hold of this bit of land in 1881. And from that, as a sheep farmer, my great-grandfather then was a cropping farmer. And then obviously with the introduction of the Fraser irrigation scheme, water was more available for farming and for sheep. But for the best return, fruit growing became established. And through the generations, my great-grandfather and then my father have built on apricots, and then the introduction of cherries, and then peaches and nectarines, and apples as well. It's an area that has a growing environment that can sustain all of those, and in more recent times, grapes have taken over a large part of the landscape. But our core business is growing quality summer fruit, capturing sunshine and putting it in edible form. A couple of years ago, I took part in the Icehouse owner-operator program, and it really helped me understand what we were trying to achieve here. It made me drill down and compare what we do to other people in the industry, as there is no benchmarking. I was able to sort of find out that we are, as a business, about 5% of the country's peach and nectarine production, and then we're on the periphery regarding cherries and apple production. With that scale, you start to have a presence, and my objective is to grow that. It's building on what previous generations have done and enabling us to have a future, to be sustainable. In any sort of business that is family run, the succession from one generation to the next is huge. And the input, the support and the guidance is critical for the success of this business. Historically, there had been issues where succession hadn't been discussed, and it was sort of a directive of my parents to ensure that things were spelt out, they were written down and they were recorded. And you've got third parties being involved in that to ensure that things are followed through and that all family members are accounted for and are rewarded, basically. The Ballance Farm Environmental Award that we won for Otago was really just an opportunity to snapshot what was going on in the business. I didn't really understand what it involved, but looking back on it and having people in their own fields coming in and snapshotting our place and giving me feedback of what we're doing and how we're doing it is invaluable. I've paid thousands of dollars for people to come on site and to give me that sort of feedback, and I'm really appreciative of that award that's in place, not just for Otago but for all the regions in New Zealand, and can only encourage other people to participate in it.
Yeah, so what this does is it measures the chlorophyll of the fruit.
To be sustainable in this industry, you've always got to be looking at the new varieties that are coming through, good or bad, because percentage-wise there is only one in a handful that is any good. But if you're not doing it, you're not at the forefront of what's going on and you can't capitalise on it. So it is a really important part of our business that we're dabbling as such on the fringes with 5% of new trials, new varieties, to ensure that when we do see an opportunity that we can take it both hands. Being left behind in this industry does put you back 5 to 7 years, and that can be the time you're making the money that you need.
What you'll probably do is you'd go along and you'd just note how many fruit were at a certain range, out of 20, for example. And,
today, Jill Stanley's visiting with one of her assistants from Crop and Food, and they're discussing with my father, Stuart McIntosh, the assessment and timing of new apricots that have been developed here in central Otago for businesses like ourselves that are looking for the next variety that's going to enable us to be sustainable in the future with apricot production. We're currently in the main block, which is the main part of our orchard, about 14 hectares of peaches and nectarines. We're right at the start of the season for peach and nectarine production. We are getting near the end throes of cherries, so it's a bit of a crossover time where we're using staff to pick cherries in the morning, and as is happening now, we've got peaches being picked in the background. There's effectively about 10 hectares of cherries, there's about 10 hectares of peaches and the same of nectarines, and then just a combination of apricots and apples that make up the 43 hectares that are effectively planted. The adage of having many potential income streams, you can't bank on cherries performing every year, you can't bank on any fruit variety banking, and hedging your bets as such supply and demand of different things has enabled us, I think, as part of our success. Each year, fruit from this property is supplied for the domestic market, that is predominantly the peaches and nectarines and apricots. For export is mainly the cherries and the apples. The dam behind us is very new. It was built during the winter and is enabling us really to capture the water that is available for us and have it available for under-tree sprinkler irrigation. In the past, prior to the dam being built, it was all done by border diking and flood irrigation. So it's just another part of trying to future-proof what's going on and make it more manageable. Water is the key to any sort of success of growing fruit. And here in Central Otago, it's been one of the restricting factors for a number of years until initiatives, back in the 20s and 30s regarding the Fraser Dam, Conroy's Dam, and all the irrigation systems, not just for orcharding, but for sheep and beef and so forth in the area. In more recent times with the Clyde Dam and the Ernstler irrigation system in place, I think it was one of the first guaranteed water supplies in the country. We're allocated regarding the number of hectares that we have, a certain time roster and volume of water, and if you can't use it during your time allocation, next best thing is to have it stored so that you can go when you need to. Now, water is not just used obviously for growing the fruit, but it's imperative for frost protection. On this property we have around 30 hectares of overtree frost protection, also used for irrigation obviously in the summer. We also have a windmill now that does protect part of the property. We were fortunate enough to win the Water Award for the Ballance Farm Environmental competition because of how we are not just, this dam is very new behind me and you can see there's not really a lot of planting around it. If you do visit some of the other dams that we do have, there are flaxes and trees and plants for the animals that are in the area, and so they, I guess, rewarded us for making the effort to beautify the place. This is my home and I want people to enjoy coming here and to see that we're not just here to grow fruit and to sell it, we're here to make our home.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.